Welcome back, boyfriends and girlfriend, to our one female subscriber.
Oh, yeah, we're getting big.
Pretty sure it's my mom.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But anyway, welcome back to Ballistic Truth. Welcome back to Ballistic Truth. Today we're going to be talking about Travis's new toy.
Today we're going to be showcasing the CMMG Banshee MK10, chambered in 10mm. One of my favorite rifles that I own. Honestly, I think I would take this over most other things in a small combat situation. I don't know if I'd take it into the jungle, but all in all, this thing, I've had zero malfunctions with it. It's fired absolutely flawlessly. I don't think I've had anything that's really went wrong. Now with this one specifically, I do have a couple of things that I've done. I have done the Geisley Super 42 buffer in it, and I only did that because it also has the Delta Team Tactical 3-position force reset trigger. We also run it with the Silencer Co. 46M and the ASR mount. So there's a couple things that we want to talk about with that, but first we want to talk about some of the shooting and characteristics of the firearm just based off the semi-automatic mode. We're not really going to get into the force reset today. So you shot it for the first time. Mm-hmm. What did you think of it?
It reminded me of the original Call of Duty and shooting the MP5.
Yes.
One of my favorite guns.
Yes.
I mean, it sounded like it. It shot like it, especially once that Super 42, the H3 buffer got in there.
It made it on the force reset mode. We'll talk about it just for a second. We did a video on force reset. We talk about all this. This thing, if you want to know what an MP5 feels like, or just straight a nuisance of a weapon, this is it. Like that is it. I don't know.
Yeah, it is so much fun.
I'm sure you guys are watching the videos now. I wish I was, because I watch them over and over again. It's the most fun thing. It draws so much attention at the range.
Yeah.
People seem to be drawn towards it.
It's easy to shoot.
Easy, very flat shooting. It does have some pushback, but like everything, it doesn't rise. Everybody I gave it to was able to really stay on target. We had one guy shoot a wall. That was interesting, but he's not very good with the force reset mode yet. So the super semi mode's pretty crazy in this thing. It's super fast with that Geisley 42. But anytime you're running these, it's got a delayed radial blowback system in it, which we will discuss with you. I was more worried about that system interfering with the trigger that I was going to put in it, so I wasn't real sure about it, but it turned out it worked actually better than the gas blowback systems. From what I found, it was way more consistent.
Yeah.
Lee, do you want to explain the radial blowback system and a little bit about it and how it works? And
so it's a very cool system. And this is CMMG'S patented. They came up with this. So they originally tried to do this in a blowback, but they needed so much weight in order to delay the bolt from opening that when it came back and hit the back of the gun, it was knocking that first round out of the top of the magazine. And every once in a while it would jam. They didn't really have an answer for that, so they tried to just go with the direct impingement like a normal AR-15 would have. There wasn't quite enough oomph in that round to get that to cycle. It's just always on the verge of short.
Yeah, when you watch the early videos of anybody that tested them, they would always get a stovepipe, or they'd get a just failure to eject, failure to feed.
Yeah,
it was just the first iteration of this, I think, and it was all the test weapons. I don't know if they were ever released. These were all like testing weapons. You can go back and watch. They're about 5 years old. So
yeah, it was kind of always on the ragged edge of short stroking and running. So they came up with, I think they were on the verge of shelving this project too.
They were very close.
So then one of the engineers came up with the radio blowback system. So they basically were able to use almost a stock AR-15 carrier, and they changed the lugs on the bolt, as you can see here, they have 45-degree cuts on them. And so what that does, it's kind of halfway between a blowback and a fully locked bolt. It's kind of half locked. When the round fires, it pushes on the bolt, and it uses the friction from those 45-degree lugs to hold it closed long enough for the bullet to leave the barrel, and then it cycles normally. The fact that they were able to use kind of a standard AR-15 bolt carrier is also what allows that forced reset trigger to work.
Yeah, so don't be scared of that bolt. If you see it and have one of these and want to try one of the force reset triggers, we did find out it does work.
Does work.
Works just as an AR-15 bolt. It does look different. I was worried about that. There's a weight that's put in the bolt. That's, I guess, part of that delayed radial blowback system to help keep the bolt, the momentum of the bolt going forward and staying closed. The front of that bolt is also, it's different than AR bolts. It's spring-loaded. Everything's spring-loaded. Even the firing pin has a spring on it that pops it back out. So when you press on that front piece, it's got it's spring tension, and then the firing pin has spring tension.
Yeah, kind of works opposite. Rather than the carrier getting blown back and taking the bolt with it, the bolt is blown back and it takes the carrier. That's also what allows it to shoot so soft, because you don't have that huge weight like you would in a direct blowback system.
And the outgassing is not as bad as well. If you're running suppressed, it's way better in this, in my opinion, than it is a gas blowback firearm for obvious reasons.
Definitely, indeed. Obviously, part of what makes this so fun is running it suppressed, but you ran into some problems trying to get a suppressor on there.
Did I ever? So when I first bought this rifle, I kind of wanted a shorter configuration, 8-inch barrel. I kind of wanted something really small, like a backpack gun. Right. Unfortunately, they don't sell anything different. The only thing that comes in is an 8-inch barrel. That's something to do with the blowback and the radial blowback system. That's just the way it works. I guess they had problems with longer barrels and shorter barrels with that 10 millimeter. It is a high velocity, pretty powerful round. So I guess they were having issues. So 8-inch barrel is the only configuration this comes in. So when I first got it, I specifically bought the Silencer Co. 46M hybrid for this weapon, just for this weapon.
Good.
The problem is that the muzzle device it comes on, it's really, really great. It's got these little ports on it and everything. It actually works really well. The problem is the thread size to these. So this is the one-off. It's a .578 by 28. Now, I don't know those of you that run suppressors, if you've ever seen that thread pitch. I have not. I own a lot of weapons, and absolutely none of them have that .578 by 28 thread pitch. None of them have it. So it was very difficult to find this. It was my only complaint with the weapon is it's really hard to find the mounting devices. So the ASR mount was Joe Bob Outfitters or something. We'll put it up for you. That was the only one I could find. And it was back ordered. It took me a month to get it. So in the process, you can do a .578 through Capital Armory, Silencer Co. Not Silencer Co., but Dead Air sells the chemo adapter for the 46M hybrid. So you can go with that option because the chemo devices are much easier to find than the ASR. So Dead Air had the ends for this in the .578, and no one else did. So I ended up ordering the chemo device from, I think these came from Capital Armory, but you can get them from Dead Air. They obviously make these chemo devices for the 36 and 46 M's. So these have worked great. So a heads up, I did shoot my suppressor off the end of this. If you do run a force reset, I put about 1,000 rounds through this, never really touched it, just got excited, got happy. Felt weird, and then the next thing I know, it's halfway down the range, and we have to call a ceasefire, and that's embarrassing.
It was a dark moment.
It's a very dark moment. So just a couple of pieces of advice. If you do run the chemo adapter and you do something like that, replace it. I did realize that it actually sheared off the lugs on the inside of this, and if I would have remounted that, it felt tight, but the first time you shot it, it probably would have blown it right back off the rifle and had more baffle strikes or whatever. Like I said, that is the chemo adapter S-mount. We'll take a picture of that part number for you and put it up there if you'd rather run a chemo. I know chemo has much more. Now, this is only for my suppressed guys. Anybody else, you can run this flash hider. It works great. It's a great muzzle device. But if you're going to run the suppressor, you're going to run the 46M or one of the ASR devices. There's only one company that I found that had these. I don't know if Silencer Co. sells them. I didn't even see them on their website. They may sell them, but they weren't even there. They weren't even an option in that.
It's just in and out of stock on Silencer.
Yeah, and so that was the one thing I did hate about that. Now, that was just a rip on Silencer Co., but I love Silencer Co. It's my favorite suppressor is the 46M. The ASR adapter is just kind of hard sometimes to get the mounts for, and that thread pitch was incredibly weird.
Yeah, anything weird or different, unique like that.
It was really hard to find. Couldn't find it. So with that being said, there was just a couple of little things that I wanted to talk about. But before we ever put the Geisley Super 42 in it and the Delta Team Tactical around the stock trigger, suppressed or unsuppressed, this thing is one of the best firing rifles. It was so good. I took it out to a shooting range with some friends and a couple of ladies that hadn't shot before, a couple of younger kids that were there with their parents that wanted to shoot, or teenagers. They weren't, children. They were teenagers.
Giving guns to children.
No, I'm not giving guns to anybody, and their parents gave them to them. But the cool thing was nobody had shot. A lot of these ladies and stuff hadn't shot ARs. They'd never shot. They were kind of scared of it. They were able to smash targets better than most of the guys there shooting bigger rifles. They were able to kill this. So much so their husbands were like, hey, I need to know what that is, and I want one. So with that being said, there is a hefty price tag on it. It is a $1,600 rifle. You do get what you pay for. The quality of it's great. I think it is. There is a very little bit of slop in this upper end where it kind of moves around a little bit back and forth. But other than that,
the fit and finish on it.
The finish is amazing.
And the lines, the cuts in the receiver, it's just a good looking gun too.
And I mean, it's like we put on the FRT side of things, I put probably over 1,000 rounds just through that FRT trigger. Yeah. And before that was probably another 1,500 to maybe 2,000 rounds shooting it in a normal fashion in the semi mode. But I love this thing. I had zero. Everybody I've let shoot it. It bleed the first time you shot it. You thought it was amazing. It runs. It's
just so unique too, and I love when companies do this. Like an AR platform with 10 millimeter.
It's a badass round. What's that? Was like 1,200 feet per second, 1,100 feet per second.
Between 1,100 and 1,300, depending on the load and the barrel.
Pretty much basic ammo. You're running 11 to 1,300 feet per second out of the end of this. So that's pretty good out of a pistol caliber round.
Plus, you can get specialty rounds that are
they shoot way better.
Speeds, but I mean, it's just everything about even the grip. I just love this grip. That's
part of the reason.
Unique platform.
I haven't done really much to the exterior of it. I've added the SIG. I think it's the Romeo. This little just brake to catch your hand, and that's it. I put the little iron sights, the Magpul iron sights on it. That was it. So I don't really want to do anything to it. I want to leave it alone. I might Cerakote it. We did buy a cool little laser, so I might engrave some stuff on it. But all in all, I like the finish of this weapon. I think
how it sits.
It just looks good. Looks mean. I may order the drum mag for it for just appearances. Usually when you get 50 rounds.
As far as magazines go, it takes Glock mags.
Right? Glock, yep. It takes, so the SGM Tactical sells, I think they're 30 round magazines. They're 28 or 30 round magazines. I don't really put more than 28 in them there. So I found 28 rounds, 26, 28 rounds. You have zero issues. But SMG Tactical sells them, and yes, it does take the Glock 10 millimeter mags. You can take a Glock 10 millimeter mag and shove it right up in there to lock in. So I like using the SMG sticks. They're fairly cheap. We'll put up the website. You can get them for like $20 off a website, or you can go to SMG Tactical where they're $30 a piece and get them direct from the manufacturer.
So they come in 30 round.
30 round. The drum magazine is a 50 round magazine. There's a 30 round. Then you can get the basic rounds, of which I think are like 15 for the basic 10 millimeter Glock 10 millimeter magazine. But like I said, any Glock magazine. So if you can get any length of Glock magazine in a 10 millimeter, it will lock into this. So that's one cool factor, because we all know Glocks are the Honda Civics of gun world. So there's tons of parts. Man. So I like when they develop a weapon that takes a magazine like that, because they're everywhere.
It's like the first thing you ask when you see something. Like
Glock you get magazines. I've noticed that with like a lot of Walther stuff, that you get stuff like that and it's hard to find certain magazines.
Yeah.
That was a really good move on their part, just using Glock mags and saying, we'll go with what's easy. So I would highly recommend this. You pay a lot more for it, but I don't know of any other 10 millimeters that are manufactured. Have you seen any other SMG?
No, I mean, they very well may be out there, but I don't know of any of them.
I think Chris Vector does sell a 10 millimeter variant. But other than that, and Chris Vector, for those of you who don't know, is a little square gun that is totally different than this. We actually have one back here somewhere. Yeah, that's right there.
There it is.
So they're just a different gun, but they do chamber that in 10 millimeters. So but it's not the same as this. The big complaint with 10 millimeter, even in the Chris Vector variant, is you get a lot of recoil out of it. You get a lot of punch. You get a lot of rise. With something like this, 10 millimeter is very, 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 very.
Yeah, that radial blowback makes a difference.
It's just very controllable. It's not. If you were to carry this in a urban combat situation, this thing would kill. It would rip. It has zero issues. It's very reliable.
Yeah, that's just such a usable caliber too.
And I think so. The trigger pull weight from the factory was 5.5 pounds, is what I read. Mm-hmm. So it's really got a nice trigger. It's a single stage trigger in it from the factory. The factory trigger was great. I only put that Delta Team tactical trigger in there to get that 3-position fun haver mode, which
awesome.
As I'm sure you're watching those videos, hopefully he's putting them in there.
Oh, they're in there. They've been watching it the whole time.
It's pretty fun to fire, but it's expensive. Just know that rounds for this thing they're about $30 for boxes, which you every now and again I find a sale where they're $20 for 50 rounds.
Yeah, you go through them quick.
It does go through them 30 rounds at a time.
Yeah.
So, but with all that said, I think this is a great purchase. If you're going to buy a more expensive firearm, you're looking for a pistol caliber firearm. I mean, you have the UMP 45?
Mm-hmm.
So how would you compare this to that? Because that's another SMG style small carry.
Far less perceived recoil, far less muzzle flip on this, even being a more powerful caliber, because the UMP 45 is a straight blowback. I mean, that bolt is just a steel brick moving back and forth.
So it has a lot.
It's still fun to shoot, and it's still controllable, but not nearly as soft as that.
And to shoot this Banshee suppressed, actually, I'm really surprised with how it reacts.
Yeah, it seemed to make very little difference.
It did. It was very, very good. So it's a very good suppressed rifle. I'll be honest with you. It shoots very well suppressed, which I'm surprised because I was worried about the delayed that Radial.
You never know how it's going to react. Something's real finicky to it.
And you'd watch all the videos where people were just having that issue where it was stovepiping rounds and not feeding them. Yeah. So I was worried about all that, messing with it with that trigger. But like I said, we haven't had any failures with it. Maybe every now and again, the last round of the magazine might get caught, but I think that's more it gets drug up.
I think that's the magazine because it was.
I agree with you. I think it is the magazine.
The bolt would just lock open with one round left in the magazine.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it would. I remember that.
That's the only failure I've seen with it.
And that's probably it. Like I said, that's overloading the magazine. That bottom round probably kicks forward and comes out of there a little bit. So once it gets to that last round, it may be a little too far forward, and the bolt just catches that
in. That bolt catch, yeah. But
it's probably just that's a high capacity thing. It's the very last round. It's not like it's ejection failure or anything like that. So some of the other things about it that bothered me at first, and now I realize how many rounds I have through it. So it's like I said, it's probably close to 3,000 rounds. It does kind of tear up some of the edges here. I'm an OCD person. But the good thing is they make a nice replaceable deflector here. So it's just bolting on with two little Allen keys, and you can just snatch that off, put a different one on there, or sand that one down and remount it. So they made everything on this thing really replaceable and easy to mess with. I can't say enough good things about the 10 millimeter. It's one of my favorites. Totally would buy another one. I plan on buying another CMMG 5.7 and trying another Delta Team tactical trigger, or maybe try the rare breed to give a comparison. Don't know how that system operates. May not operate with that, but we'll cross that bridge later. But this is the Banshee. I think the Banshee lineup's worth it. At least in the 10 millimeter, and from what I see, everybody really likes a lot of the other calibers. The 9 millimeter, they make it 9, 45, 5.7, everything.
Every caliber you can think of,
5.56, 300 blackout. You even found they make a 4.6, which is what the only other weapon that I know out there that uses that is the MP7.
Yeah,
I don't know of anything else that shoots a 4.6 by 20? What was it? Not 28.
30.
30.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was surprised how much they offer.
I can't even believe they have that. So I would be a little nervous about the 4.6 millimeter. I'm sure you can get the ammo, but as far as where we're at here in North Carolina,
it's expensive though. I've never even looked into it. You never know if something's going to take off or be popular, or just die, and then you can't find it.
10 millimeter is a prime example of that. It's a solid between 9 millimeter and 45. So it's like in between the two.
Oh no, yeah, it's above 45. It's up there. Slightly above 357.
Oh, that's right, 357. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, it runs with that. So that's a giant round.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get the Glock 10 mil and try it and see what I think of that, because that'd be a cool carry gun to have these two where they can switch magazines. You carry a sidearm and an AR.
You're ready for a grizzly bear.
Yeah, I mean, this thing rips. I absolutely love it.